And now, live from the Squared Circle Studios in Wausau, Wisconsin, it's the Squared Circle Podcast. And here are your hosts, Nate, the effing great, Spencer Hart, and the Squared Circle Podcast heavyweight champion, Max Beatty. What's going on, guys? It's the Squared Circle Podcast on Spreaker.com, iTunes Player.fm, PodDirectory.com, Stitcher.com, TuneIn Radio, also on IWNerd.com. Also just picked up this week on WrestleWorld.uk. That's right, we're making it over on the big time over in the United Kingdom, just in time for the United Kingdom tournament, right, Nate? That's right. So we are going to be going through Smackdown. We're skipping Raw. We are also going to get set for the United Kingdom tournament happening this weekend. We are also going to make some early predictions for the Royal Rumble and give some thoughts on the class of 2017 for the Hall of Fame. But first thing is first, our fearless champion, Mr. Max Beatty, will not be here tonight. He is dealing with a family medical emergency, so he will not be on the show this week, hoping for a speedy recovery for his relatives. So, Max, if you're listening, I'm sure you are somewhere in some capacity. We miss you, buddy, and we will see you soon.
Beatty Club will be represented by yours truly, so.
I was trying to give a heartfelt message, and you just laid your shit right there.
Well, you have to realize that, Beatty Club for life, and you can just, you know what? I'm just going to be nice this time around, so.
Yeah, so Maxie, for listening, this one's for you, buddy. So we're going to head on into SmackDown. We're going to skip Raw. I know you and AJ did a Raw and SmackDown recap earlier this week. I want to talk about SmackDown because I like SmackDown, but your thoughts on Raw?
Best thing from there was that, like I said, I think Braun Strowman looked still strong. Mm-hmm. I thought that they were doing a lot more with some of the storylines, including, building up, I think, the Club versus Sheamus and Cesaro. Mm-hmm. Great White North, not Cesaro or whatever you want to call it.
Come on, they finally used Cesaro. Make a man happy.
No. It honestly sounds like a freaking baby wipe or some kind of...
But Dad, come on! Dad, they used my thing! Dad!
No, I don't care. I will smack you upside the face if I hear that at Raw. But, no, the main thing that they really did well with was the fact that they dropped the title to Chris Jericho, the title that's eluded him his entire career, even in WCW, and that's the U.S. title.
Right.
That was just awesome.
That was the feel good moment of the night, was seeing Chris finally pick up the belt that's eluded him his entire career.
It's the best thing about that is that Roman Reigns still looked good in that matchup, not only with his wrestling wise, but I think the finish was actually very damn good. Getting the code breaker and then the power bomb on the apron, and that second code breaker, and it's like, wow. He took a lot, so if anybody thinks that Roman Reigns still sucks, you need to shut the hell up and watch that matchup because he looked like a freaking boss and he took it like a champ. So
yeah, he did. Yeah, so we're gonna move into SmackDown here. Just a few things I wanted to go through. The first being the rivalry between The Miz and Dean Ambrose.
Maurice the Crocodile or the Alligator. I'm sorry.
I really enjoyed. I really enjoy the Ambrose Asylum. I love. People always get a little bit nervous when Dean goes back to his comedy. In this case, though, I think it worked. We're down in Louisiana. Crocodile, hilarious. Mitch LaPlante no longer there, so I really enjoyed this segment. Of course, Dean gets his ass kicked. Not really. And then he goes to hand Miz the participation award. That was, I loved it. That was hilarious in my opinion.
Well, it was funny because AJ and I were saying that, it seemed like the whole thing just went full circle because the Miz was the one that originally gave it to Dean Ambrose. And then it's like down the line, you'd had to think that he was probably going to give it back. And sure enough, on Tuesday, we see Ambrose say like, "Here you go, you're Miz Participation Awards." Like, wow, okay, that was actually a pretty good burn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this so the Miz goes to hold Dean so Maurice can slap him again, and Dean kind of like moves out of the way, and then Maurice slaps Miz, and just everything went to hell from there. And I'm really looking forward to this rivalry a little bit more. I hope Dean holds on to the belt. Of course, given everything that Miz did for that belt, or what the belt did for Miz, really, Miz really reinvented himself with that belt. So I hope that means greener pastures for the Miz, because I enjoy the Miz, especially as the company's top heel. I really do think he is.
Yeah, I think they definitely on SmackDown he's definitely the major top heel, because on Raw you got Kevin Owens and Jericho. SmackDown is controlled mainly by the Miz, and I would also throw Baron Corbin's name into the deal. Some people would say AJ Styles, but I don't know. He's still not really getting that much major heat because he's speaking all these like truth bombs about John Cena, and he's talking about being an amazing wrestler. He's backing up with it, so he's kind of more of a tweener, I guess. But Miz has really kind of, like you said, evolved into his own. He's definitely doing a lot better in this part of his career than probably the last, I want to say, 7 years. Like 6+ years, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Just like, who was I going to say? Just like Chris Jericho. The Miz is kind of reinventing his character, and I love it, and I think the crowd, even though they give him the heel heat, I think they're really enjoying his character.
Yeah, they're definitely really getting into it, but I still say that he is probably one temper tantrum away from going into the Christian route in like 2002, 2003, which I still think would be kind of funny.
Yeah. So the next match, not really a match, Nikki Bella versus Natalya. I want to gauge your opinion on this.
Okay.
There seems to be a lot of different opinions on this feud. I personally like it just a little bit because it's fiery. It's a lot more edgy than we're used to seeing with this feud. But a lot of people don't like it as well. What are your thoughts on like how this feud is building, and if you don't like it, what would you change?
I actually do enjoy this feud, and honestly, I think the reaction that they got in Baton Rouge was really good. Everybody was liking the fight between the two of them. It's not just about being pretty and glamorous. They were just probably at the point of being so annoyed about about them talking about the whole Total Bellas thing about Nikki dating John and blah blah blah. That it was nice to see this kind of change up where they're just getting really super physical. Everything that they did was just awesome, and you just hear the chants of let them fight, let them fight, let them fight. And then when the referees were splitting them off, and Nikki Bella, holy shit, she just came like a bat out of hell and just laid out Natalya. Natalya got good heel heat for after locking in the sharpshooter. This is just a really well developed storyline. I think that the fact that Nikki gets called out for all of her success that doesn't involve wrestling, and then for Natty to get called out for basically coming off of the Hart family name, the Hart family dynasty, just really makes for a very interesting storyline. I think that, in all honesty, if this builds up to a Falls Count Anywhere match between Nikki and Natalya, I would be very happy with that. I think that would be the best final result for this product.
Yeah, I agree. Something along the lines of like no DQ, something, because this feud really deserves some form of just not regular match. This deserves, Falls Count Anywhere match, no disqualification match, no holds barred. Street fight would even be nice.
Please, for the love of God, just do not incorporate another fire extinguisher like they did at TLC.
Yeah. So, Dolph Ziggler, huh? Yeah.
Dolphy McHealerton, yes.
Dolphy Keelerton. We're going to get that on a t-shirt. Yeah, Dolph Ziggler to me, don't get me wrong, as a face, I liked him. But as a heel, he feels... It feels his character is much more natural. He's the underdog that's never been appreciated. Wants to go up the card, but nobody will let him. So he's got to do it by himself. But when people then try to help him, he doesn't want any of it because where were you where I needed you before? So I love the idea of turning Dolph Ziggler heel. That being said, it looks like he's going into a feud with Apollo Crews. Your thoughts on that? Apollo didn't have a very good 2016.
Yeah, I think that... Let me see here. I think the last relevant match he probably had was back with Baron Corbin in the NXT TakeOver London. That was back in 2015. But ever since then, he just has not really broken out as a star. And I think that, again, it goes back to our conversation about, have some people been getting called up, too fast? Have they just been there for,
just... Carmella. Case in point. They pulled her up incredibly too fast. And it's really damaged her in my eyes. We'll get into that. But yeah, Apollo Crews pulled up way too early. Carmella pulled up too early. Mojo Rawley got the short end of the stick, I think. I think the Hype Bros were pulled up at the right time, but now with Zack out with a knee injury, it's like, what do we do with Hype Man? Like, what do we do with him? You can't do anything when he's kind of going to be on the shelf until Zack comes back.
Let's just put him in a match with Kurt Hawkins because everybody wants to see Kurt Hawkins get his ass kicked. No. I thought
Let's put him in a match with Kurt Hawkins because we want to see the audience kill themselves.
Yeah, for the love of God, I'm hoping that Kurt Hawkins gets his first win back in WWE this year. Yeah. Otherwise, I will probably just go on a rant on Twitter about how stupid that is that they signed him only to have him lose.
Yeah. So we get into the one and only title defense of the night. American Alpha and the Wyatt family, Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton. This match was hot fire.
Hot diggity dog.
This match, the way it ended, did no damage to any team. I think it furthered the feud. I think it was tremendous storytelling. And I want to gauge your opinion on this. We've been talking about this since they lost the belt. So I can't remember. Luke Harper got up on the ring and was screaming something at Chad Gable, and Randy Orton got distracted by Luke Harper, and Gable rolled him up for the win. And then after the match, oh my God. I still have the image in my head, and it's glorious. So Luke Harper goes to hit Randy Orton with a super kick and hits Bray Wyatt instead. Bray kind of like is on the mat, and he's just like staring. He has like this huge disappointed look in his face, and he just walks away.
Yeah, I think that AJ kind of hit it really good that there's a possibility that they're maybe going to be breaking up the Wyatt family up again. Mm-hmm. But I actually made the case that, maybe they're just going to, just drop Randy Orton, because I think that when Eric Rowan comes back, they need to keep him and Luke Harper together because they are just an awesome team. But he also suggested the possibility of a Luke Harper versus Randy Orton feud, which I think would be pretty awesome in all honesty. But all in all, it's one of those things where it's like, it's kind of interesting to see how they gone from like a good cohesive unit to just this like, I guess it didn't work out as well as they'd hoped it would.
Right.
So I'm kind of interested in seeing how this storyline goes.
Right. And I agree with that, but I would present this. Could they turn Bray on Luke.